Welcome everyone to a casted game of Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the north corner of the map playing in yellow, we've got Aoe4 playing as the Japanese. And his opponent in the south playing in green, we've got Legolas playing in green as the ayyubids. Welcome everyone to Golden Pip. That is the map for today, featuring two civilizations which we are actually slowly starting to figure out and coming to know and love. The Japanese and the ayyubids going up with the House of Wisdom. Well, I mean, it's the landmark that they get, isn't it? Well, what will be really interesting to see is what wing he decides to do, what upgrade he gets here, Legolas. Facing it up against the Japanese, in many ways I'd say is my favourite civilization. I think generally a lot of people are favouriting it. In fact, let me know in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch, just drop it in the chat. What's your most favourite civilization that you're coming across, you're playing against, you're playing with, you're watching for the new Sultans Ascend DLC? Is it the Japanese? Is it the Byzantines? Is it maybe Order of the Dragon? Who knows? Got 6 to choose from, I guess. But speaking about choices, well, there are 8 options here for the House of Wisdom today. 4 wings, but each wing offers you 2 possible upgrades. And we do see a lot of options here for the ayyubids. I think very flexible as a civilization. There are definitely 2 kind of tech ups that are very commonly played, and it's growth, giving you extra villages, but also the Grand Bazaar, or the just regular Bazaar rather. And you can also get the culturing advancement. It's incredibly strong. Blue Dream Legend, I should say. Thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, the Japanese, I think, are an incredibly strong civilization. Also very flexible, by the way. They can have a really nice... Wait, is that village not working? Yo, that villager was stuck for a second. In any case, got bit of flexibility with them too. It can get 2 town centers, maybe go for 1 town center with the Daimyo Manor, cure a storehouse, kind of farming transition, free farms. What's not to like about free farms? And well, I think what's interesting is the timing, right? Because both civilizations can be pretty aggressive. The ayyubids, I feel like, are actually more of a tempo aggressive civilization than the Abbasids are. A couple of eco things have been stripped away, like they don't get fresh foodstuffs, they don't get fertile crescent, can't get cheaper town centers in that way. Although, actually, speaking of town centers, this is actually a really nice build. So, when I started to get my hands on the civilization and play, I actually worked on a really, really fast second town center build. And I think actually the ayyubids probably get the most fastest second town center you can get in Age of Empires 4. And it seems like that's what Legolas is actually doing at the moment. So the way it works is that you can actually advance to the next stage with the industry aspect of the economic wing, and it gives you 300 wood when you tech up. And that is a big chunk of the second town center cost. So all that then remains to do is to get stone. I'm pretty surprised that he's got this number of villages on wood though, because actually if you do want to get that really fast second town center, you actually want to be more heavy on stone. But I don't know, maybe he's got a different build than me and maybe he's timed it to a T. He might be looking to get a production building first maybe. And then, no, it's actually going to move out. So fair enough, there's the transition there onto stone, and he's going to get the second town center incredibly fast. It's a really nice build there for the ayyubids. If you're interested in that build and you do play as the ayyubids, I've got plenty of builders on the channel, but that's certainly one of my most favorite ones. Speaking about second town center, well, it looks like Aoe4 might be opting to do the same thing. It's a bit difficult to tell though, because you might be going for the Daimyo Manor upgrade for the town center, which is certainly an option, especially when you factor in the Cura storehouse being built. What happens with the Daimyo Manor increases the population capacity of the bannerman, but adds a free villager, increases the town center both in terms of health, also adding an additional arrow slit. But the one I like to focus on is the additional harvest rate on the farms. It's going to be a 25% extra harvest rate on the farms, and when you factor in you get free farms from the Cura storehouse, it's a really nice synergistic kind of effect between the landmark and the town center upgrade, and that's exactly what's happening. It's going to get the Daimyo Manor upgrade, and only going to leave 1 more villager on stone, just to edge towards the next upgrade perhaps, but we shall see. Maybe some defensive emplacements as well, if he feels like he needs to. Now it does get that it does get that 300 wood there, the ayyubids, now that he is in the feudal age, and it's about to drop that second town center at a very good time. So if you do optimize the build, actually when you do age up, you can actually build the second town center literally instantaneously. But he's going to be moving back onto the deer camp at the back and that wood line actually, which is actually a really nice spot for that second town center, because it's got berries close by as well. So a great spot for a second town center. And well, it means it's going to be a second town center versus a 1 town center play here from Aoe4 for the Japanese. And I think in many ways is that the way it's going to be thought about Sure, Averley doesn't have a second town center to compete in terms of economy, at least for now. But he does have something in between. He's got the daimyo mana. So that food economy is going to be really strong. It means his feudal age should be really strong in terms of a push. And if he does push and does kill some villagers, well, it means that the ayyubids, the second town center, really hasn't done that much. And something that will help him push here for Averley, like you can see, he's getting the first melee upgrade. And the Japanese actually get 4 melee attack upgrades throughout the whole game. Like, it's an additional melee attack that they can get. Obviously, you have to, purchase it and spend resources for it. But it really does help out the infantry. Also getting double brawn axes, focusing on those eco upgrades. And he should have a really nice timing push with the Japanese. It's something they do really well, by the way. They have a really strong timing push. Usually around the 12, sort of 14-minute mark. They can really start to mass up units quite quickly. And I suspect that's going to be the play here. Ayyubids, Legolas is going to have to be careful, right? Got a second town center. It was quite a significant investment. Obviously, it was done very quickly, but it's got to be careful because the Japanese can be a very tempo-aggressive civilization. And look at this. Production buildings on the front. The scout spots it, so Legolas is aware of what's happening. Could be horsemen and Yumi Ashigaru for the Japanese. Getting a Desert Raider or two. Very unique unit for the Ayyubids. Does have the ability to toggle between the melee attack and the ranged attack. We do see the Bannerman coming out for the Japanese. Now this is a really strong unit, by the way. Take a look at the stats. 230 HP, 20 damage. But more importantly, you can see the white little line it has on it. It's actually a shield. So whenever it takes any damage, whether it's melee or range, the first hit, it completely absorbs. It doesn't take any damage from that first hit. Enables it to ride in, and obviously that does recharge over time. Also gives an additional 15% attack damage increase on cavalry units, but obviously the scout's not going to have much of a base damage anyway. But it is being buffed nonetheless. Desert Raider's going to chase that back, and Legolas now with that second town center does have a 4 villager lead. Needs to get those static defenses, which he is now doing with the palisade walls on the east side, and has got that berry bush nice and boosted up with the influence of the mill. Now look at this, another production building coming down. This is what the Japanese do really well, and it's in part because of the daimyo mana and also the farming transition, right? Like the farming transition comes for free. And you might be wondering, oh no, there's 2 spots there that you can't build farms. Well, it's not the end of the world, because once the farms do all get built around, these 2 spots, instead of just being a lost issue, he will actually gather some wood passively. There's that Golden Age tier 1 for the Ayyubids, which is a little bit different than the Abbasids. Gives you a village gathering rate increased by 10%. But it takes less buildings to get there. So the Abbasids actually have only 3 tiers to their Golden Age, whereas the Ayyubids have 5. Each increment that the bonuses get for the Abbasids is a little bit better, or actually quite significantly better, but it takes a longer time to get there. You need significantly longer times to get there, more buildings. Can be tricky. Oh my god, he lost 4 villages there. That was absolutely huge. How did he lose so much? The Bannerman getting so much value, and that villager lead has been slashed quite significantly. The Desert Raider going to try and get some value, but the Bannerman, absolute destruction. Does have the camel unease though coming out for the Desert Raiders, reducing the armor a little bit of the Bannerman, or reducing the damage output rather for the Bannerman. But the damage has almost already been done. You feel the villager kills that he got there. And the aggression is not going to be backing off. Look at this. Yumi Ashigaru building up in numbers. 17 military versus 5. This is actually really dangerous for the Ayyubids. Wait, is he trying for a fast castle here? He's got 1,200 food. Legolas, this is super greedy, my dude. He's going to try it, but damn. He doesn't have the gold. And this is very greedy, but if he can make it work, it could be okay. Desert Raiders do get a couple of hits, but the trouble is the Yumi Ashigaru are going to pick away the Desert Raiders. He only has 5 military, and they're going to be completely hard countered by the Yumi Ashigaru. I wonder whether we'll see a Yumi Bannerman to add in the damage output. But I just have to garrison inside the town centre. Now 12 villages are idled, so the additional 5 villages isn't really that much impactful, considering 12 of the economy is already idled. Japanese, their tempo aggression is incredibly strong, and I only had to build 3 archery ranges. Just bear in mind the quickness of this training time. 13 seconds for a Yumi Ashigaru, and also they're cheaper, only costing 35 wood and 30 food. Fighting on that wood line, loses another villager, lost 7 so far. The Yumi Ashigara, though, they're fighting on these 2 town centers. Does take another villager, might even get another one. There's not enough space to garrison inside, and that's a lot of villagers going to be going down. The Yumi Ashigara are going to trade off. The Yumi Ashigara will start to die, but he's taking villagers. He's taken 10 so far. Avily doing the damage he needs to do, and that's absolutely phenomenal damage coming out of that. It does reset and regroups. A couple more Yumi Ashigara need to group up together. But great damage output. And the big thing is the idle time, right? The idle time being caused is immense. Avily going to kill some villagers here. Maybe gets one. No, doesn't quite. Only 3 Yumi Ashigaru. But that was huge damage output coming in there for the Japanese. And farms keep coming. They just keep coming. And that's what really enables that tempo aggression to persist for the Japanese. The fact that he hasn't had to cede any farms. I mean, he could actually, in fact, go to the deer camps, right? Because he's got the map control, but he can just rely on farms now if he wishes to. Building up a bit of a force on the front now. Legolas does have 2 archery rangers. He needs to produce units quickly. Because he might be under pressure soon. I wonder if siege engineering's here for the Japanese. Doesn't seem like it just yet. Okay, quick check on that. Oh, he does. He's got siege engineering. Holy moly. Now, if he does get a significant number of villagers onward, and he starts to get a ram or 2, could be very dangerous. Feud Lage ram rush coming in for the Japanese. We love to see aggression, and it's coming our way. But Legolas does still have 2 TCs, right? So his ability to get back into game in terms of economy is strong. Oh, the Yumi Ashigara might just focus on the villagers building the outpost. He's going to go for the woodline instead. No, he does redirect, and those villagers are going to try and rush out the outpost, but he's going to lose a lot of villagers. Absolute massacre on that gold vein. He needed that gold to get to the castle age, and the macro is just off here. The ayyubids being absolutely pummeled. The outpost doesn't go up in the end. The villager didn't build it fully and does die, and now it is Legolas getting to that next stage. I think he went with the culturing, the advancement tech. It must have, for cheaper. Unfortunately, on the capture age, it doesn't actually show when they're teching up, but he has teched up. But take a look at this. Despite having a second town setup, the villager count is neck and neck. And that should not be happening if the ayyubids found it difficult to defend. Lost 18 villagers. But it's not over by any means. Because obviously, everybody had to do that damage, right? Oh, a couple of Yumi Ashigara on that gold vein. That's a problem. He's not reacting quick enough. He needs to pull those villagers away. He does. And on the east side, villagers having to garrison inside. Lost one. But this is great play by the Japanese. Just displaying how to be aggressive in the feud age at the higher level. But behind this, Avily will need to go to the castle age at some point. He's heading in that direction, though. The castle age timing is not going to be too far off. He does need to pull back the Yumi Ashigara because he is being pushed back. He needs to keep the army alive as much as possible, right? And the good thing is the main army here on the right side should be going home. Might even be able to trade off here. I don't think he has enough. Has a camel lancer, but with the Yumi bannerman, yeah, he should be able to be okay. Doesn't even have any of the blacksmith upgrades. Legolas yet. He's now getting a mosque, looking to get a couple of relics if he can now that he's in the castle age. But Avily's probably going to be able to contest that pretty soon. More production buildings, yet more production buildings coming out for Avily. Now the question is, what does he go up to the next stage with? It's probably going to be the floating gate landmark. As you can see now, as the farms have already been built, it does get 34 wood passively as well, just to compensate for the lack of ability to get those extra 2 farms. Now he's going to go up to the next stage with the floating gate. It's going to be giving him access to the Yorishiro. It's going to be a nice boosting. He can deposit the Yorishiro in various buildings to get bonuses. I mean, I don't know. The Camelasters probably could have taken that fight, to be fair. Didn't want to trade in the end. Decides to back away. Allows the Yumi Ashigara to survive for now. And can be going up with a good 10 villagers and be challenging to get some of those relics. The trouble is for the ayyubids, whilst he's in the castle age, the first dervish is going to come out. It's probably going to be sniped in instantly. Oh, that's a lot of villagers in gold. They do have to back away. He does react, but a little bit too slow. Loses 2 villagers. Dervish survives. Going to be charging in with the camel lancer. Just 1 though. Not going to be enough. And Yumi Ashigara getting good damage output here. Going to be also getting the Daimyo Palace, and that's really going to scale that farming economy. Going to be giving 50% increased harvest rate on those farms. Berries have been taken. Iron Undermesh coming in now for Legolas. Avily getting in that castle age at a good time. Now Legolas is still ahead on villager count, but He's trying to get a bit of a counter raid as well. Does kill one villager, maybe a second. The Yorishiro do pop out with the Shinto priest. Might snipe that though. Oh, he doesn't. He just rides past. Trying to get out of there. Where will the Yorishiro go? Probably in the town center, by the way. Increases the production speed of the town center by 25%. So, despite being a one town center, he will narrow that deficit between his opponent and him by quite a significant margin. Now, the Yumi Ashigaru are going to be able to push that back, especially with the reinforcements coming in with the Onnamusha. Onnamusha, basically crossbowman on horseback. Yumi Ashigaru on the west side, denying any sort of relic play. Has one in his grasp, should bring one in. Might try and get a Wallow, maybe mass healing. Will he get a chance to deposit it? He does. And is now safe and secure. That's only one relic out of a possible 5. Archers chasing down the Yumi Ashigaru. A couple of camel lancers as well. And that's a nice pushback a little bit here for the ayyubids. He needed it. Take a look at this. Stone is coming in here slowly. 2 villagers on stone. Does mean he should be able to afford a second town center pretty soon. If he has the wood for it. I don't know if he does it though. Gonna go for another Shinto shrine. Wants to get those relics in quickly if he can. Unfortunately, the Yumi Ashigaru do get caught there for the Japanese. Onnamusha coming in to join the fight now, but I guess better late than never. I think he's going to save him. Yeah, I think he has to back off here. Legolas doesn't quite have the numbers. Onnamusha getting great value though, picking off a couple of camel lancers on the retreat. And it's such a strong unit. I think the great thing about the Japanese are the unique units. The Onnamusha, the Onabageisha, the Yumi Ashigaru, the Bannerman. It's great to see. Flavouring up Age of Empires 4. Now Legolas might actually look to dive this. Does have a dervish looking to repair, or heal up I should say. Camel Lancers do try and dive in. The couple of Onnamusha do get sniped, and that's actually a big deal because the Onnamusha were the real counter there to the Camel Lancers. Camel Lancers trying to whittle down the Yumi Ashigaru numbers as far as possible. And Aoe trying to micro this as best as he can. He will lose units on the retreat though. But he's still spamming units. They're coming in thick and fast, of course. Camel Lancers have whittled down the numbers. Yumi Ashigaru trying to save themselves. Does lose the Bannerman. This is a nice pushback by Legolas. He was in dire straits earlier on in the game, but he stabilized a little bit. He's heading back home now. Legolas feels confident he did enough damage. Doesn't want to get caught though, right? Doesn't want to lose this army. Doesn't want to get caught out of position. He does ride home and he's got a second relic in his grasp, looking to bring that back home. And we're slowly heading to the phase of the game, 20-25 minute mark, where both players need to think about the gold in the middle. Gold in the main bases aren't all that prevalent at this stage of the game usually. Has got 640 stone here, Aoe. I think he's going to be opting for the daimyo, or the shogunate castle actually. Probably opts to do that before a second town center. We'll have to see. Could equally go for a second town center. Wouldn't be a bad option. But it remains to be seen. I like what Legolas is doing, by the way. The static defenses and walling up is actually very much needed. Because the Japanese have been raiding quite heavily in the early game, and he's going to raid even more. Onnamusha going to keep that open. Oh god, there's a lot of villagers here. If he spots this with Onnamusha, he does. It does have wheelbarrow. Legolas, he's not responding. Does respond now, going south, but he's lost a couple of villagers already. Might lose some more. They're going to be cut off, right? Decides to go the other way. Aggravates the boar. The Lancers are going to try and ride and try and take out the Onnamusha as they can. Does get the charge in, by the way. Going to go around the other side. The Onnamusha should get sniped here. Now Legolas showing his skill, showing his quality to keep those villagers alive in the end. Remassing on the front. Now the great thing about the Yorishiro, by the way, can deposit in, well, various buildings, but as you can see, it has been deposited in the forge. Gives him about 75 gold a minute, which is kind of on par with a relic. It's quite significant. Speaking of relics, well, 2 have been deposited by the ayyubids, 2 have been deposited by the Japanese, but they will be getting the 3rd. Oh, looks like there's going to be a mangonel coming out on the field. Obviously, the ayyubids are able to build that on the field, and it's going to be a nice addition of siege. Now, actually, with the stone, whilst he is going to be going possibly with a shogunate castle, he could also get a keep in the middle. Oh, no, in fact, he can't get a keep. Don't forget, the Japanese don't actually get keeps in the castle age. Makes things a little bit tricky for them. Mostly camel lancers and archers. For the ayyubids, take a look at the army for the Japanese. Mounted samurai, mostly, and Yumi Ashigaru. Going to be riding in with a couple of mounted samurai. Should get a couple of villager kills here once again in the game. Don't forget, they got the shield, right? Negating some of the damage output. And it's keeping a lot of the economy idled. Also gets a couple of villager kills too, riding on that wood line. That wood line is very exposed. Camel Lancers riding after the 4 mounted samurai. But has he spotted this? It almost seems like he hasn't. He has now. He's peeled off a couple of units to try and defend that. But he's lost a lot of villagers so far. 31 in the game. He's still slightly ahead. And behind all this, well, the Shinto priest looking to get this sacred site on the east. Pretty easily defendable actually with the walls. A lot of wood line here to protect too. Looks like Legolas heading forward though. With his archers and his, I should say Manjanek, by the way. It's a unique unit. Keep forgetting about that. Oh, this is bad though. Those archers might be caught by the mounted samurai. Oh no, he's going to lose 2 Mangonels. He definitely overextended here. Mangonel's probably going to be sniped very quickly, or Manjanek rather. They are sniped, and oh, that's bad there. The Camel Lancers, they weren't in position they needed to be, and if they were, it would have been a different fight completely. But it's caught out of position, Legolas. Gonna have to head back home and regroup after that loss. West side sacred site still up for grabs, and it looks like the samurai upgrade coming in for Aoe4, I should say. But look at the production buildings. Holy smokes, guys, that's a lot. This is the point where we get to the 20-25 minute mark. Japanese can really come online in terms of production, right? Especially with the possibility of the Shogunate Castle. The food income is looking strong. Look at that, 1,200 food per minute. Does have 30 villages on food though, to be fair. Yeah, certainly looks like it's waiting for that Shogunate Castle upgrade. Would need 1,200 stone to do so. Mounted Samurai ride in. I mean, these could be a bit of a throwaway units, but he's going to get some raiding value. Pulls away 2 Mounted Samurai to the west. Couple down in the south, and going to be attacking that gold vein, no doubt about it. Get some villager kills if he can. Maybe not. Actually, he's going to ride past. He wants to get to the woodline, maybe? I'm not so sure. But this is huge. Getting some villagers there on the berries. 2 Camel Lancers will chase. The damage has been caused. Going to go for the woodline, maybe? He's just riding around, causing havoc. Maybe buying some time. He's going to get surrounded on that woodline. Good surround there by Legolas, but he will lose some villagers as well. And 34 have been taken down so far, as regrouping in the middle, on the front part of his aspect of his base. Maybe look to push further forward. Now, I like what Aoe is doing though, is keeping Legolas back at home. Allowing him to breathe a little bit. But, well, Legolas is looking to get control in the middle. To get a keep if he can. Another Yorishiro popping out. Going to be deposited in the siege workshop. That's going to be increasing the speed of production, by the way. It's interesting they actually managed to deposit that before it was even built. It's not something I was aware of you could do. Apparently so. Holy smokes, that's a lot of units. I would like to say, by the way, if you've been enjoying the content on the channel, especially if you're watching on YouTube, I hope you have been enjoying it. And if you have, maybe consider subscribing if you enjoyed casted games. Especially because I do have a subscriber goal. I'm hoping, it's a bit optimistic, but I'm hoping to reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. But they've got to be relevant ones. Like, there's got to be a situation where, you know, people actually who subscribe actually watch the content. Otherwise, it's just numbers, right? Mounted Samurai heading forward. Now, the thing is, Legolas never really got the palisade walls up completely. And the Mounted Samurai are going to cause even more problems. Now, the good thing for the Mounted Samurai, they've got the bannerman. That's going to be increasing the damage output. And that makes things a little bit difficult for Legolas, sniping those villagers very quickly. Does garrison inside, and he probably could take that fight against the Desert Raiders, the Camel Lancers rather, to be fair. But he's going to go straight for the villagers, and this is a problem for the ayyubids. Never really dealt with the raiding problem. Right from the beginning of the game, actually. He really got battered and bruised earlier on, and hasn't learnt his lesson yet. He has now. Getting the palisade walls up. Better late than never. Does have some control in the middle. This is a bit of a concern for Aoe, right? Because the issue is he doesn't get keeps in the Castle Age. So we need to get to the Imperial Age before we can really get static defenses in the middle. Unless he goes for a town centre on the front. Does look to try and get some villages on the stone mine, but has to ride away, and he has caused a lot of trouble, right? Only 78 villages for Legolas, coming out of the fact that he lost so many. And he has scaled into a second town centre now, Aoe. And he has also got that Shogunate Castle. That's an increase of 75% gather rate on these farms. Actually disgusting. Probably the best farms in the game, I would have thought. But that second town centre of Averley coming at a good time means that his economy will scale quite nicely. And the amount of damage he's done on the ayyubids, in fact, the ayyubids won't be aware of that second town centre, right? There's just no way he would know. And as the game goes on to the mid to late game now, that does put Averley in a good spot. Got better villager count, slightly weaker unit count, but that won't matter so much because Legolas isn't pushing just yet. Gonna get a second keep, looking to get control of the gold, and that is a problem for the Japanese in some ways. Of course, the late game is very dependent on gold at times. We'll have to see how Averley decides to address that. In fact, has actually run out of gold. Has 0 villagers on gold. Gonna have to rely on the 3 relics, which isn't too terrible. It's gonna take the engagement. There's a couple of Miyashigari Mangonel might deploy there for the Japanese. Got 2 of them. Good front line though with the Camel Lancers. He's gonna get a wraparound on the infantry, but there's a decent number of samurai. They are countered by the Camel Lancers, but decent number of archers. Get a huge hit with the Mangonel. A lot of low HP archers there because of that. Does snipe out the Mangonel though. And the Iber's taking a good fight overall. A lot of the samurai shields have been taken down, but it does lose the front shield, and all of a sudden the samurai is going to jump on top of this. This is a problem for the ayyubids. He has to back away. The threat of the mounted samurai, or regular samurai I should say, is very real. More pop out. The Onabagation heading into the mix as well. Samurai might get a wraparound. Might have to head back here, Legolas. But he's kiting for now. Couple of Camel Lancers riding in too. Maybe they can just snap out the Springolds if they can get them. Oh, about to dive in once again, but great micro here by Legolas, keeping the units alive, keeping the safe distance, which is exactly what he needs to do. And a trebuchet is on the field for the Japanese to work on the keeps. But he's trying to make a mad dash for the gold, right? You can see he's desperate for that gold. The 2 Mangonels, though, could be posing a problem for the ayyubids. Down to 34 military. Getting a bit tricky here for Averley. Does have a trebuchet of his own, looking to take out on the forge, and he can't deposit that gold. And Averley's struggling on that gold severely. But the good thing though for Averley, if he does get the Yorishiro in the forges, he will be having a decent amount of gold coming in, especially when you factor in the relics in play. Look at that, 4 Mangonels. Legolas has to move away from infantry here, unless he masses Springolds. And a full Camel Lancer play wouldn't be a bad option, especially going up against the Samurai. But take a look at this. Spearmen are being added in. I love that play by Averley. Has that awareness to say, well, look, my army pretty much gets countered by Camel Lancers, so let's get the counter to them. That is the Spearman. 2 keeps still alive. Does have a bit of stone in the bank to maybe get some repairs out if he needs to. Now, Legolas has got the west side sacred site capped as well. Thank you for the well wishes for the affiliate anniversary on Twitch. Appreciate it. A couple more Smilgers coming out. 4 of them so far. Well, there's 3 Springles out there for Averley. Snipes the Springle there. Legolas just missed out on that. And well, the Springle numbers are going to be advantageous for the Japanese. It's turning into a bit of a siege warfare, isn't it? 4 Mangonels. And the keep is now slowly being repaired. Also getting the Daimyo mana for the secondary TC here, the Japanese. Going to be increasing that farming economy for sure. And look at the food income. Almost 3,000 food per minute versus the 1,200. And does have the double number of villagers on food, to be fair. But oh, he's losing a couple of Springles here, the Japanese. He was kind of outnumbered, and he might lose more because the Camel Lancers are riding in. Spearmen, though, they're bracing. That's not a great fight for Legolas. That meat shield front line is going to die very quickly with that number of Spearmen. He's got to be careful. Japanese might just fancy their chances now. Legolas needs to back away to the second 2 town center, or the 2 keeps rather. We'll take a better trade for sure. Or Mangonels might deploy. This could be bad for the ayyubids. The 2 Mangonels do deploy, get a huge hit, but he might lose the Mangonels because a decent number of Springles there. He does lose the Mangonel. Might need to back away now, Averley. Pushed back a little bit. Did give him some breathing space to maybe get some gold, but there aren't that many villagers here gathering that gold. Essentially double the gold income coming in for Legolas at this point. Got quite the bank of gold as well. 2 trebuchets, or just 1 trebuchet. Looked like 2 for a second. Starts to unpack on that forge. Averly struggling to have a mounted response, right? He keeps losing the army. Does have a great economy, though. I'm not sure about Legolas's villager situation. Like, he's been stuck. He's producing, but he just lost a lot, right? 44 villagers killed so far in this game. Makes things very difficult for him to really match, because Averly, like, whilst he doesn't have the middle, there's still an opportunity for him to win the game. And it's a very real opportunity because the economy is just stronger. Look at the bank of resources he's got. 1,500 food and plenty of wood, so he can spam out trash units for now. By trash units, I mean units that don't cost any gold. And then he can try and get some control in the middle. That is going to be the key, though, you feel. He will need to make a mad dash for the middle, which Legolas is sensing and getting a third keep to defend. One thing that's kind of concerning for Averly, whilst he does have a lot of production, a lot of it is far forward, right? So if at some point Legolas decides to push, and if it's a meaningful push, he could camp out on the production, and it would force Averly to rebuild these buildings. He does have the wood for it, but whether he has the manpower for it. He's going to go up to the Imperial Age, and Legolas is very far away from that Imperial Age. This is a good timing, actually, for Averly, because if he gets the Imperial Age, he'll get 3 siege engines, by the way. 5 of them. To start the Imperial Age, and that's absolutely huge, right? Because he's struggling on gold, and at this point in the game, what he needs the gold for is mostly siege, and he gets them for free at this point. Veteran horsemen on the west side. When I say for free, you get tickets, which kind of replenish. He's going to try and get some stone walls, which might keep them out temporarily, at least going in from the north side of that wood. But he's just going to ride through, and this is an issue because throughout this game, he's been raided heavily here, the ayyubids, and he's going to be raided again. Splitting up into 3 groups of horsemen, some going in the south, right through the middle as another, and another in the north to take a lot of the villages off of farms. I love this play by Averly. He's taking up, right? And he recognizes that if he gets pushed now whilst taking up, it could be very dangerous. So what does he do? Decides to raid, forces the Ayyubid army back home, allows them the breathing space to take up safely to the Imperial Age, and that's exactly what he does. That's a lot of production, guys. Holy smokes. We're getting to the point where the Japanese are really going to start spamming out units. Going to be able to get free... Oh, the villagers need to go back to work. Does have 5 free tickets. If we toggle over to his position. I think he spent them already. Might be the Ozutsu, quite possibly, but in any case, the raiding is still active. And he's killed quite a few villagers. 67 in total so far. Decimated a lot of the wood line. And the trouble for Legolas is whilst he's dealt with the raids, mostly, he's about to be faced up with an Imperial Age army. And well, Legolas is down to 81 villagers. Certainly is a story of raiding and how much damage it can do. Yeah, so there's a bit of a word on terms of wheelbarrow and horticulture. It's a little bit different for the Japanese. So unfortunately, capture age hasn't really caught up. And the thing is, the Japanese don't actually get wheelbarrow, but they do get some what I like to call baby wheelbarrow. And in fact, they get 3 of them. And this is the 3rd version of it. It's kind of like the equivalent to wheelbarrow, but it has 3 tiers to it and does accumulate quite nicely. So unfortunately, it doesn't actually show there on the overlay. That's something that I hopefully does get fixed at some point, because it is a big part of Age of Empires and the viewing experience, of course. Alright, well, a couple of trebuchets, 4 of them. Crossbowmen looking to protect those trebuchets. The infantry there for the Japanese looking to pounce drum right on top of that. Does have a couple of the Bannermen. No other cavalry to assist though. And they're going to dive on top of this. I think Legolas will win this fight, especially in that choke point. The archers should get good damage output. Walling up on the west side, looking like Averly trying to get a raid on there. Averly trying to get access to this sacred site, I think. Trying to get the outpost. Maybe thinking about that as a win condition. Could be quite possible, but take a look at this. A lot of camel lancers chasing down horsemen. And I think you'd be happy if you're Averly in that sense. A large number of keeps looking to protect the gold veins, and I'm surprised though. There's one bit of detail that I would love to have seen. I would have loved to have seen Legolas actually get this gold rather, first, whilst he can. Because even if Averly just pushes out a little bit and gets access to gold, it's a bit of a problem, right? In any case, look at the Stonewall, this west side. He's got the sacred site on the east. He might be opting for that sacred site win condition. And this is a really nice dynamic part of this map because, sure, the gold is important in the middle, but factor in one thing. if he forces it into a Sacred Site timer, it forces the ayyubids to go either left or right. That means it can't focus fully on the middle. And Aoe's done great work in this game so far just to pull this army in all sorts of directions, right? With the horsemen in the middle looking to raid, trying to break through once again, it's forcing the camel lancers away from attacking him, right? He's confident in his late game abilities here with the 2 town centers, the Shogunate Castle ability, or upgrade for those town centers. And now he's pushing ahead with a bombard, or cannon, bombard rather. Gonna slowly make his way through, and this is born about the fact that he's pulling army away, right? A lot of camel lancers just chasing a small group of horsemen. He can't ignore it. But also, he may be overcommitted. It meant that the camel lancers aren't here to tank the front line, and that's left archers in the middle of the map. This is a great play here by Aoe. Great read. Pulling the mobile units away from the ayyubids and focusing in the middle now. Now he's getting a good stronghold. Brought up by the fact there's no camel lancers. They got distracted. He might lose a couple of trebuchets. That's bad news for the ayyubids if he loses them. I mean, true, he's got plenty of gold in the bank, but still, you don't want to lose his units if you can bear it. Camel lancers coming in from the back now. They do actually start to recover. And look at this, getting stone walls. Yeah, Legolas has had enough. He's been raided to death so many times. And he's lost a lot. But he's getting access to the Sacred Site on the west side. Getting stone walls up, and that's an interesting play here. Aoe just grouping up again once more. Still struggling on that gold income. But the Yorishiro and the relics will be helping on that. And the Sacred Site too. Feels like Legolas has never really been able to push particularly hard. And it's been a common theme throughout this game actually. Legolas has struggled to push heavily. Even stealing some stone here. With some sneaky villagers. The question is for Legolas, what does he decide to do, right? Does he decide to go for a Sacred Site on the west side? Just worried about Sacred Site capping? Well, he's got to be worried about that because that's a lot of spearmen. Now rip through the camel lancers. And in fact, at this point, Aoe might just spam units, right? Okay, this is a really interesting dynamic of this game. He's got 200 population. They've got plenty of barracks on the front line. So if he loses the spearmen, it's not a big deal. He'll be able to reproduce those units and he's pushing back, right? He's taking out gold premium units in the form of the camel lancers. He's definitely getting a good trade out of this. Sure, he's fighting underneath 3 keeps. It might seem terrible. But look at his population. It's not dwindling under 200 population. That is the key bit of detail. He's got plenty of resources in the bank. He can keep spamming. And he might even look to torch down the keeps. Does have boiling oil there that could add a spanner into that works. But it's possible. Look at this. He regroups again. And he's continuing to make production buildings. Yeesh. And look at the farming. Almost 4,000 food per minute. Coming in. On the west side, does get the stone walls up in the end. And unfortunately, the ayyubids haven't been able to deny that. I mean, it does mean that it can't get too many reinforcements on the west side. Because he has stone walled himself, but this is getting tricky, right? Because Legolas is still in the castle age, guys, by the way. Bear that in mind. He just found it really difficult to the Imperial Age. Even more raiding coming in with the horsemen in the back on that farming transition, and Camel Lancers are trying to push that back, but the trouble for Legolas is just not been able to breathe, hasn't been able to get to the Imperial Age himself, trying to get forward production buildings himself, and the defender's advantage, the production speed, like the units entering the fight, the time it takes is so minimal. That's insane. Did lose a lot of horsemen there though. Doesn't get the full stone walls up just yet. Might overchop here. He's sending it to Camelot. Wait. Seriously? The timing on this could be huge, guys. Because he's activated the Sacred Site timer, right? 10 minutes. And he immediately reacts. Takes 2 Camel Lancers, and this wall won't go up in time. Wait. Where are the Camel Lancers? There they are. They're heading their position now, and sending a couple of spearmen looking to just break through, but there are stone walls, trying to torch things down. I mean, Aoe at this point just spams his units, right? It doesn't matter. He's at full population cap, might as well do something with the resources. 2 Camel Lancers do ride in, and there's an overchop. I think there's an overchop on that wood line. If he spots it in time, there might be a way in. And does he spot it? Legolas, he's got to spot it. He's not reacting just yet. He's got more to deal with in the middle. Oh no, Legolas, this is a bad trade. He's taking the fight against Spearmen, elite Spearmen with the Camel Lancers. Those are gold premium units. Okay, he's torching it down. He doesn't... That's kind of crazy. He's using the Katana Bannerman as well to help those units out. Doesn't even need siege at this point, just using infantry. On the west side, the Camelasters do break through in the end. There is an overchop. He's going to need to quick wall this somehow. Averly backs away. I mean, he might trap the Camel Lancers, but you don't really want to trap them in because he can deactivate the Sacred Site. Oh, that's smart. That's really smart by Averly. He drew the attention of the Camel Lancers. Will this go up in time? He needs to force it down. Will it go up in time? It's going to be close. He does get it. And the Camel Lancers can't break through, and he stonewalled them out. That could be a big detail, especially if it comes down to the Sacred Site victory. And now he's starting to add in some Gulams. That will deal with the Spearmen, but I mean, the trades were really bad. There's only Palisade walls here on the east side, so it could be an option for the ayyubids to attack that. But I gotta say, that stone wall, that micro there on the west side, that was awesome. Kind of deserves to win the game because of that, you feel? Sacred Site timer still ticking. But the real concern for Legolas is he's fighting up against an Imperial Age army, and he's stuck in that. Wait, now the Imperial Age. Yeah, timing, eh? We've got the Rebaldicans, and so, well, now that it's going to be Imperial versus Imperial, it does need some time to get the upgrades, though. Well, villagers on gold, they're going to be pressurized, and it just feels like it comes down to the use of units, right? Like, he lost a lot of gold villagers, and now it's Legolas' turn to be strifed with gold. And whatever gold the Japanese did get, they've got in terms of elite samurai with the Bannerman, Rebaldicans as well, and it's an interesting choice about the Rebaldicans, I gotta say. We'll do well against the infantry, but he's gonna snipe out a lot of the siege. Springles will go down, and maybe even a Trebuchet. The Trebuchet does go down. That's absolutely huge, and he's gonna be overrun. I think Legolas might have to tap out, because he's only just got the Imperial Age. Now, when you do tech up, that leaves you vulnerable, right? Because Legolas just spent a lot of resources. Looks like the infantry are gonna torch down everything they can, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Legolas does tap out. The Japanese gets on top, and a great play by Averly. A great game of Age of Empires 4 on the Golden Pit map. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did watch on YouTube, do give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.